scraped it up last week, and that was dirt this morning when I came in. And it was grass like 4 hours later. Highly recommend them for your lawns. Yeah. I'm sure we didn't spare any expense. But guys did a good job, and we had to make a few cuts, as you know, to get down to the number. Those guys were all guys that can play in this league. Really believe that. We had a deep roster, and those guys are going to get opportunities elsewhere. So a couple guys came back to practice, so that was good to see. Some guys fully, some guys working their way in mostly, and then we'll see if they can do more tomorrow. Okay, what are the questions you have?
John, you placed one of the news was Gus Edwards being placed in reserve, so he'll miss the first 4 games. Right. Anything you can say about Gus's recovery?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we expected. We did not expect him to be back probably the first part of it. That was really Eric's plan throughout. And I'd say Gus is still on schedule and fully expect him to play quite a bit of football this year.
Marcus Robinson, what strikes you about him and adding him, what he might be able to provide in this offense?
Right, Pete. We played against him all these years, and he's a big, strong receiver, very strong hands, catch radius. You didn't see it when you guys went in, but he caught a really nice seam route off an RPO and just went up and got it. And learning the offense, he couldn't be in there too much today because he's learning to play still, but he'll pick him up quick and expect him to play out there, on Saturday and get going. So we're happy to have him.
Because what do you think of Josh Ross, a undrafted guy who played Harvard?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And we had 3 really good undrafted linebackers. Diego, who was released, expect him to get claimed, and then Kobe's doing a great job too. And Josh is a Michigan guy, so we got a good feel for him. Jim loved him. Just said he's going to be your kind of player, smart, tough, very physical player. So and he showed up in the game, so it's good to see. I think he's got a shot. Those guys are all fighting for a shot.
John, we haven't asked about Ronnie and Tyus for a little bit. I mean, how are they doing, and when would they need to be out here to have a realistic chance at week 1?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'd like to see him out there for 3 weeks. Now is that going to be possible for week 1? Will they be ready? Would that be enough? I know Ronnie's out here. Ronnie and Tyus have both gone really hard with the conditioning. So I watched Ronnie out here before practice with the trainer. So he looks like he's in really good shape, and Tyus looks like he's in really good shape. So could you speed it up a little bit if they look really great at practice? You probably could. We'll just have to see how it goes and see how they feel. A lot of it's how the player feels at that point.
John, we've seen just how effective Isaiah Likely's been, and he's been lining up mainly in the slot. I know that's where you guys like to mark Andrews. What are you guys kind of thinking about in terms of how you can maybe fit those 2 pieces together effectively in the regular season?
Well, probably thinking just like you guys are thinking. There's personnel groups that you kind of imagine that you can put on the field, and where will they line up? I don't think it's any kind of a stretch to say they'll line up outside, Jonas. Kind of what you're alluding to. I think they'll be out there, running slants and fades and even deeper routes. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what comes out of the laboratory. And they're going to be weapons for us. It's going to be fun.
Would you rather he not shine quite so much and let everyone really be aware of what's coming?
No. They still got to defend him. Good players tend to play well when they get opportunities. Usually the guys that don't do as much in preseason is because they don't get a shot, don't get a chance. So to see the balls come his way and him to make the plays, that's what you want to see as a coach.
John, in the preseason, people try not to overreact to some of the performances they see. How do you kind of gauge what's real and basically, what's you're not going to see in the regular season?
No doubt. You got to keep it in perspective. It's still the preseason. It's not as intense. It's not as ramped up as the regular season. A lot of players aren't out there playing. There's not as much at stake. But football is still football, and the things you're looking for. Hey, if we're covering a kick, are we running down the field? Are we running our lane and leverage? Are we taking blocks on the right way? Relationship to the returner. You can see all that. That's why we kick off in the preseason. You'll notice we're not kicking touchbacks very often. We could. We were disappointed that the team we played last week didn't give us a chance to get the return game practiced, because really in the preseason that's when you get to practice your special teams. So we've learned a lot from that. For instance, to your question. Mike has a family situation, a very positive one, with his wife in Atlanta. So he'll probably make an announcement here pretty soon. So matter of fact, he came into the training room and I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I can go? And it's like, yeah. So the guys gave him a standing O, and he's running out the door for the airport. So.
John, you mentioned the guys coming back. We saw Linderbaum out there. Is he still somewhat limited in what he can do, or how close is he to being able to do the full team stuff?
That's a good question. I think the trainers watched him. I haven't heard the report. how he looked in individual. I was not at the O-line individual. So we'll see how he feels and how he looked and how he shows up tomorrow, you know, after doing the date. That worked for today.
John, you addressed Travis Jones' situation after the game. Has anything changed with that, or is that still what you're expecting?
Right, nothing's changed. It's going to be one of those, you know, 3, 4, 5 week deals, somewhere in that range. With that kind of an injury, it's pretty normal. It happens a lot, that injury. So kind of a sprain kind of a deal. So it just depends how fast he recovers and how good he looks when he comes back.
Kind of your last message to the players that you have with the roster stuff, just from preseason game.
Biggest message is kind of the last message, and really the message throughout, which I appreciate the question, is don't worry about anything. You know, you go by worrying, you're not going to add another hair to your head or another day to your career. You know, you're just going to go out there and do your best and be great at what you're great at. Be good at what you're good at and try to improve at everything. And our guys have done that. It's not about anxiety. It's about coming out here. It's not about counting how many guys are at your position. You go put your best foot forward and let the chips fall. Could be here. Could be somewhere else. You know, and you know, we want guys to do well.
Is it too early for Saturday? Are you still formulating plans? I mean, you've handled preseason, not a lot of starters in play. Does that impact what you do in this last game?
Yeah, I mean, you can extrapolate our plans, and we've got to set up who's going to play and who's not, so we'll just kind of let it ride.
Tyler practiced Linderbaum in Arizona at all, or was this?
He practiced a little bit there. Yeah, he had a little individual work in Arizona as well. Yes, that Friday practice, he was out there moving around a little bit more today, and then we'll see for tomorrow.
John, I know you don't concern yourself too much with the transaction stuff, but I think we expected to see Ajabo on, you know, move to somewhere by now. Is there anything that we're missing as far as his status?
Not that I'm aware of. So I'm going to take that up with Eric. It's a really good question. See what he says. I'm sure Eric's got a timeline plan on that. I don't think anything was, you know, had to be done today.
All right.
All right, great. Thanks.
Thank you.